Being an educator is intense work, and the best bring an intensity to that work. What do we want? And do we want it badly enough? That's our topic on today's episode of the Educators Among Us podcast.
Welcome to the Educators Among Us podcast, where we share motivational messages and inspiring stories for and about educators. Your host, Scott Barron, is author of the critically acclaimed book, Love 'Em and Lead 'Em, and provides powerful insights and wisdom for those who heed the call to teach, coach, lead, and serve at all levels of education.
This is Scott Barron, and I'm honored to be your host for the Educators Among Us podcast. This is a place where we get to speak into the lives of those who work at all levels of education, and as teachers, as coaches, as administrators, board members, in the business office, in the counseling office, in facilities, as bus drivers. It really doesn't matter. If you're a part of a school system, you're a life changer. You're speaking into the lives of people where they get to see how different it is to have a passion for learning and for growing and for becoming their best. And that's the joy of our work as educators, is we get to change lives and be an inspiration for others. And of course, that requires us to have a little bit of that ourselves, right? Because it's hard to give what you don't have. And so inspiration is a big part of the role of educators. And that's what we're looking at today, is that idea of contagious intensity, right? Some people, they bring that energy to the room. They light it up, or to the day, or to the whole school. I've had a chance to be around people like that. They're like that Energizer bunny. And sometimes, that intensity becomes something that becomes then shared by others. It becomes, they feed off of that. It does become contagious. And so what we want to think about today, of course, is how do we do that? How do we maintain a level of passion for the work, that we sustain that energy and that passion that enables us to change lives at the best level? Progress is measured by richness and intensity of experience, by a wider and deeper apprehension of the significance and scope of human existence. That's from Herbert Redding. And so we know that there's a meaning behind this. There's a purpose behind this, and that's something that we see in other people, and it actually can be life changing. I was listening recently to Scottie Scheffler. Scottie is the top golfer in the world now, and has been for the last couple of years, and it was very interesting to hear him talking about recently recounting a really impactful moment in his life. He was remembering a moment where he's played one round of golf with Tiger Woods. And it was actually just a round that he didn't, kind of going into it, they did not expect it to be that big of a deal. But it turned out to be a significant moment in his life. And he says that it was actually very significant, because when they walked out to the tee box, and he saw the look on Tiger's face, right? It was something that he did not expect, because at this moment in this particular tournament, they were not going to be close to winning it. They were, as they might say, they were out of it. And so, you have to still, play your round, because you're in the tournament, you made the cut. And so, it was, but there was this incredible intensity that Tiger approached every shot. He was on, and Scottie was recounting this idea that remembering the way that he approached the game and the seriousness, right? He said it was as if, that this was the last shot he would ever make in his life, and he had zero chance of winning that day. But that look on his face and that relentless analysis of every shot, it clearly communicated how serious Tiger was about bringing his A game, his, that best that he had every day. And that became an inspiration for Scottie Scheffler, because he realized, oh, that's what it takes to be a champion. I get it, right? And so it's either you do it right or you go home. And that's a really good opportunity for us as educators as well, of course, because while we may not be able to play golf at the level of some of these guys, we do have an influence. We do have the chance to bring our A game. And of course, the intensity of our desire governs the power with which we make that impact, right? The force is directed of our influence. That's from John McDonald, right? That's the intensity of our desire. It matters. It really matters. And similar intensity emerges among educators at certain moments. And we certainly saw that during COVID, right? During those first few months as people were responding to some of the changes that were happening, that we rallied around it, right? There was this fierce willpower to overcome the massive disruptions that were happening to schools, and we kind of found a way to get over whatever else was getting in our way, and that phenomenal sort of coming together that's known as collective resilience. Right? Collective resilience, and where we come together with highly engaged focus, shared purpose, and adaptive problem-solving abilities. All of that talent in the room, it becomes to have the ability to solve at a much higher level. It's a focus, right? And it's most distinctive and enabling because in those times, we forget about all the petty conflicts, all the things that maybe we've been battling about or carrying on, and past scars as well. Some of the things maybe that we've held against each other. But we get past that in order to create breakthrough victories together. And it was really exciting in that times. And of course, what would happen? Imagine what could happen if we approached each day with such passionate intensity. I mean, the life-changing work that we do, what could happen if we actually combined our abilities in such a manner that we saw the problems and we were able to overcome so many of the barriers and the constraints that get in our way, that get in our students' ways, and that inhibits the growth that could happen, right? Listen, we've entered a whole new era of education, and it's going to require us to have a different type of focus. Let your eyes look straight ahead, says Proverbs 4:24 and 25. Let your eyes look straight ahead. Fix your gaze directly before you. And that's what happens in those moments, right? Is all these other things that can distract us. Now we're like we're focused in. We have like blinders on, right? We know where the finish line is, like that racehorse. We're locked in. And give careful thought to the paths of your feet and be steadfast in all your ways. That's the challenge from those verses in Proverbs. And it's something that applies to us as educators because we know that in this new era of education, breakthroughs in education are needed. However, they will require a high degree of intensity, of sustained focus. And these are things that sometimes are uncommon in schools. Because we do get sometimes caught up in all the conflict and all the discussions and the debates and the bureaucracies and the control factors and dot. Right? There's all kinds of things that want to draw us away. But hey, listen, the level of breakthrough that we're going to need to innovate and to adapt in some of these new realities, it's not going to be accomplished with partial distracted effort. We're going to have to find that intensity. We're going to have to remember what it took back a few years ago, and now we've got to go forward in ways that it's going to be the game changer. It's going to be what enables some schools to thrive and figure it out, and others that will lag behind, because the qualities of our presence, right? The qualities of how we show up, it communicates that learning matters, that this work that we do, it has a significance. But also, It communicates that they matter, that we've shown up, that we're not lost in a lot of the things that may be going on in our personal lives. We're not lost in some of the things maybe from yesteryear or yesterday, but instead we've set our eyes. Our eyes are looking straight ahead, and they have an intensity like Tiger had lining up the putt, or like some people have when they're doing the thing that they have a love for, and they're going to solve the problem. They're going to figure it out, right? There's a difference, and they can tell. They can tell when we're all in. Intensity, listen, it's not just helpful. It's not just something that it'd be nice to do. It's transformational. Just like in that moment when Scottie Scheffler saw the look in Tiger's eyes, we can tell when we have the eye of the tiger, and we have that intensity that we're going to solve the problem. We're going to figure this out, and we're going to do it together, right? So as you're going through this week, think about, stoke that fire. Stoke that fire from within, my friend, bringing an intensity that is contagious. It's contagious to colleagues and, of course, to students, because we make a difference. So as you're going through and you're thinking about sort of how you prep for this week and each day, is put yourself in a situation in the best position to bring that fire. And sometimes we get distracted through fatigue, or we get distracted through some of the pressures that come with the work. And I want to just encourage you to don't forget who you are. Don't forget your calling. The calling to be involved in education is so powerful. It's noble. It's a noble calling. And so don't forget that. Don't lose your perspective as you plan and as you execute each day. Hey, listen, you are loved, and your love makes a difference in a lot of lives. And as you're going through this week, a coaching question to consider is, did I do my best to bring that focused energy today? Did I do my best to bring that focused energy today? Love them and lead them, my friend. This is Scott.
Thank you for joining us for the Educators Among Us podcast and for your courageous commitment to this noble calling. We get you and the challenges of this work. To stay connected with this community, be sure to subscribe to our podcast and weekly encouragement at educatorsamongus.com.